Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing a album which I just wanted to talk a bit about this band, not done a video on them yet. So today I'm going to be looking at Lloyd Cole and the Commotions' second album called Easy Pieces. So I'll just do my usual thing in this video, give a bit of background information about the album, then I'll show you the vinyl copy and then go over each of the album songs in detail. So as I said, this was the group's second album, released on the 22nd of November in 1985. On this album, the Commotions made very much a conscious effort to become a lot more accessible on this album compared to the debut Rattlesnakes. They were also under pressure from the record company as well, because Rattlesnakes was quite a hit album. The record company wanted them to follow up on it pretty quickly. They initially used the same producer, a guy called Paul Hardiman. However, these sessions weren't productive, so they hired in production duo Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley, a long-established production duo worked with the likes of Elvis Costello, among many others around this time. However, these sessions were very, very fraught with Langer and Winstanley very much making a lot of suggestions to the band. They were experienced producers after all, which weren't always appreciated by the group. Such as one of the suggestions was they didn't like Lloyd Cole's way of singing. They wanted him to change his vocal technique, and also the other band members the drummer and that was asked to play differently and stuff, which kind of it did cause a lot of tension in the studio. However, because they were producing, meant this very much became a big hit album. It completely eclipsed the success of Rattlesnakes, selling more copies in 2 weeks than Rattlesnakes had done its whole release life. Peaked at number 5 on the UK charts. However, despite this commercial success, critically reception was lukewarm, and also the band members themselves would detract the record over the next few years. Lloyd Cole saying that the freshness of the debut was lacking, and nothing new had really developed on the album. Bassist Lawrence Donegan was a bit more blunt, just saying that the album was terrible. So I'll now just show you my vinyl copy of it. Well, I say my vinyl copy, it did actually used to belong to my uncle, but he very kindly let me have it here. So there's the cover. Not a big fan of the cover. It's very sort of 80s, but it doesn't really it doesn't really summarise what the record's all about. There's the back of it there, and there's no fancy gatefold. You just get the inner sleeve, which has this kind of design on it, and then probably I would say the worst lyric sheet in the world. It's literally just paragraphs of text there and no spacing. You've just got the bold song title and then the lyrics. It's really poorly designed, I think. Just so boring and just zero effort gone into it. So the vinyl design isn't brilliant. I mean, it's certainly not very sort of friendly in terms of wanting to read the lyrics to them, and also just the design as well. It's pretty plain, pretty boring. But anyway, it is the music what matters, which I'll now go over, looking at each song in detail. I'll score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So it starts off with a song called Rich, which is quite a rocking start to the record, with blaring horns on it and a strong drum beat as well. Lyrically, it's kind of about a divorce, the end of a relationship. It is a really good song, I think, to kick off the album. Also, lyrically, at the end, there is a sort of Beatles reference to the song Maybe You're a Rich Man. My only issue with the song, the reason why it isn't higher, is because it doesn't really change too much from this theme. It kind of starts, gets going, which is really great, but then it doesn't really develop much from that. But still not a bad track there though. Rich would get a 8 out of 10. Then the next song I think is really, really good, called Why I Love Country Music, which is a much calmer piece, which this song I love because it develops, it goes through different stages, the different, layers, added, quite a nice, reserved, string arrangement, which just complements the song nicely. It's another track which deals with like a strained relationship, like with like the lyricist, like the narrator, like on like this song, like sort of like turning to alcohol and like country music to cure the gap left by his like former lover. But yeah, a really good song there. Like I think why I love country music. We get a 9 out of 10 for me.
Till it's gone, pretty gone.
And then we get the first kind of blip, like in like the road for me, a song called Pretty Gone, which it's a kind of quite a mild song. This like it's pretty slow. There's not much happening like on this song. I mean, there is some nice keyboard touches throughout it, like but like as I said, it is just kind of boring really, and like lyrically, like it gets very repetitive, like towards the end, like off like the songs. So, yeah, Pretty Gone, not one of the best songs like on the album. The next song is called Grace, which is a much more sort of fast-moving track. We've got some great like accordion work like on like this song. Like I forget like who plays, like he does like accordion like and keyboards, but yeah, like he really like adds some like nice touches like across this whole album, but like especially like on this song Grace. Melodically it's maybe a little bit lacking, like but it moves along so well. Like the musical arrangement like keeps the track really interesting. Lloyd Cole himself would later completely disown this song, like calling like the lyric terrible. Like however, I think that it is a really great song though, and like also like the middle eight as well, like the way it kind of just is like seamlessly woven in like to like the song, like I think it's brilliant, and like where like it kind of like Cole like does like this sort of falsetto style vocal. I think it just works really well. So yeah, Grace would get a 8 out of 10.
I've been aching all through summer.
And then closing off side one, we get one of my favourites on the record, Cut Me Down, which is easily one of Cole's very best songs. Lyrically, it's about sort of like being let down, like at like the end of a relationship. I just love the kind of cold like atmosphere like throughout like this song. Like it's very like restrained performance, like but like that kind of keyboard riff like gives like the song like a great hook. The guitar playing is like very like inventive, like and like complementary like to the song, and like the whole band just like do like a really great, fantastic performance like on this song. It's also got a fantastic music video as well, which uses like a lot of like the same techniques like what would become like commonplace over like the next few years, like on stuff like Peter Gabriel's So Sledgehammer, I mean, and like Paul Simon's The Boy in the Bubble, like kind of like that sort of like computer generated like animated kind of video thing, which I think works really well. As a single, this wasn't a massive success. I think it might have just got into the UK top 40, but only just. So yeah, Cut Me Down, a brilliant song there though, I think, easily one of my favourites on the record.
I'm just looking for a brand new friend.
And then running up to side 2, we get another great song called Brand New Friend, which was another single from the record. I believe this reached number 19 on like the UK singles chart. It's a really unique song, I think, because it combines like this kind of 80s sort of drum machine like intro, like with like a bit of like accordion and like gospel backing vocals. It just works so well, this song. Lyrically, it's like a plea for like support, like to someone like the singer like kind of like doesn't know yet. And like I like also how the lyrics are not a sort of explicit story like, so people can put like their own like interpretations like and like kind of like impose a song like on like their own situation, which I think works really well. The reason why the song's not a 10 though is because it does go on a little bit. It's about 4.5 to 5 minutes, this song, and this song like I fade out like it is just a little bit too long for me, like where like they are just like repeating like the line Brand New Friend. But yeah, like not a bad track there though, like a very good song like actually. Brand New Friend would get a 9 out of 10.
Took a last weekend in a hotel in Amsterdam, a double pneumonia.
And then the next song, another winner, is Lost Weekend, which is one of Lloyd Cole's most popular songs. It is certainly my favourite my favourite like of like all his songs. I just love like the kind of like jangle pop sound like on it, and like the lyrics as well, like the kind of like very poetic but very like effortless like as well, like just about like a person's like misfortune like while like on a holiday really. Like yeah, just a great song. Like also has a fantastic music video, and like also like another top 20 hit. Like I think reached number 17 again like the UK singles charts in 1985. So yeah, Lost Weekend, classic track.
So hide yourself away.
But then we get a song which I'm not too keen on, which I would say is the weakest track like on the record, a song called James, which this one is very slow, which I do suppose we do need like after like the quite like upbeat Lost Weekend. Like whether like I just think it's a very lifeless track, and like also lacks like a good melody like as well. Like the drumming on it is just kind of lost as well, like it doesn't really like serve a purpose. So yeah, James, not a great song there, a 4 out of 10.
She said she'd throw herself off a bridge.
Okay, so the penultimate song is a song called Minor Character, which I do really like. However, Cole himself has like said that it's the worst set of lyrics like he's ever wrote. Like he is like, if like you've not noticed like already, like quite harsh on like some of like his early work, like such as this. But I mean, like I really like this song. Lyrically, it is a little bit dark. Like it is about kind of like tempting like sort of like suicide again, like some ways. But like yeah, like it's got a strangely sort of like upbeat like mood like going like along to it as well. But like yeah, like a song which I do really like. I think it is quite underappreciated. So yeah, Minor Character would get a 7 out of 10.
I'm kind of blue for you again, I guess
And then we get another great song to close off the album called Perfect Blue, which I think this is what Cole like actually does quite like, because he does this one live like quite often. It is a lovely melodic song, like the bongo drums as well, like are like a nice touch again at the background. The string arrangement is really like effective. Like there's not too much to say like lyrically like about this song, but it is a great track though, like very catchy chorus, like really nice lyrics. So yeah, a great way to close off the record there with Perfect Blue. Okay, so overall, out of 100%, this would get 80. So yes, I think this is a really great record here. There are some brilliant tracks I got here, some really sort of clear highlights like Cut Me Down, Brand New Friend, Lost Weekend, Perfect Blue. But there are some other songs on here which is kind of like Lloyd Cole by numbers. It's kind of like what he was good at, like he just like done more of it like on like this record. Like what was good about Rattlesnakes, he kind of like in some ways like just done like the same thing like on like this record. But certainly, like, with people saying, like, it is, like, a weak album, no way. I mean, there are, brilliant tracks, like, on here. Like, it is a very richly packed, like, album, like, in terms of, like, lyrical content, but also kind of musically, like, as well. Like, it's very pleasant, like, all, like, the ears. Like, I'm, like, quite glad that they did get, like, two, like, quite commercial producers, like, to actually work, like, on this record, because it just makes like Cole's songs a bit more like accessible, like a bit more like easy like on the ears. I would say like overall there was maybe a slight drop in quality like compared like to Rattlesnakes, like which is maybe like a more consistently great record than this, but certainly like you've still got classics like Lost Weekend, Brand New Friend, Cut Me Down. So yeah, still an album like worth investigating. So yeah, this is my review of Easy Pieces by Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time for the next review. Goodbye.
Bird watching.